let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
I'm John.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger, the podcast where we take a long, hard look at some of our favorite action movies from the era of Arnold.
Schwarzenegger is the icon of the genre, and we're taking a deep dive into some of these 80s and 90s cult action movies and breaking them all the way down. John, you made it weird right off the top. I love it.
That's why I'm here, baby. I'm here to make it weird, baby. This movie calls for make it a little weird. This movie's kind of wild.
What are you drinking over there? Is that bourbon kicking in?
Yeah. Well, so when I first got to Kevin's house tonight, he made me do a blind taste test, and I fucking killed it.
You nailed it.
And now I'm sipping on, this is a pre-made old-fashioned that you have been chilling in your freezer. And buddy, it's awesome. It's delicious.
Is it? Okay, yeah. I thought it might be too sweet for you.
No,
I thought it was pushing the envelope a little too sweet.
I don't mind old-fashioned to have a little more sweetness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
It's good. And
that's made with my ancient age that I finally got rid of all of it.
It's got the perfect amount of citrus in it as well. It's awesome. It's really good.
And we are back to talk more about Cyborg. Also,
You're welcome.
Thanks to all our loyal listeners. Thanks to our listeners on the OG 6 Degrees of Schwarzenegger feed. Also, our listeners on the Last of the Action Heroes podcast network feed. We love you all.
Yeah, all of our fans in Tibet.
We always
Argentina.
get the random, lots of listens from Australia and the UK, but then we got some that always pop up in Belgium, Israel. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, that's badass.
We get a lot of listens out of Russia. Probably they're the big Seagal fans there, right?
Probably.
But yeah, so it's awesome. Keep it up.
We appreciate it.
Tell your friends.
Yeah,
we want you all listening. We're trying to build our own private army. We're gonna
to spread love
and peace throughout the realm.
That's right. A war of peace, even. So we're here to talk about Cyborg.
Yeah, man. What's been going on in this crazy movie?
The best movie you've ever seen.
It was a big gaping hole in my Van Damme
your 80s education.
Yes. So, but I'm a better man for having watched it. Maybe?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Well, I mean, I think that like we said, it was the death knell for canon. It was Van Damme on the cusp of being a breakout star.
Yeah.
And so for as much as this movie sucked, at least some good things came of it.
Well, like you had after Schwarzenegger did Terminator, he did like a couple of shit movies in there. He had Raw Deal and Red Heat, which are both just like, ugh, what are these? But it was like those things that he had already in the pipeline, I think.
Yeah, that he wishes that he could cancel.
After he had become famous, or after he'd been unleashed on the world,
right?
And he had to get those couple things out of the system before he could move on to like the bigger and better projects.
Yeah, and when I say that good things happened as a result of this movie, I mean that Van Damme became a star and that canon shuddered.
Yeah. Oh man. But dude, how good is Bloodsport?
It's awesome.
Fucking killer movie.
Yeah.
His early stuff, he just had it, man. He had that star power.
It was such a simple concept for a movie.
That's what we need to see, though, is him in skimpy clothes doing karate shit or whatever.
That's the thing is, like, that movie was high-flying, and it felt adventurous the whole time, even when it was just the one-on-one. Like, the fight montages were just fun to watch, just because those guys had skill. These were real martial artists that looked great, and there is a very apparent lack of that in this movie, where Van Damme is really the only guy in the movie that can hold his own. And I can't imagine, I mean, he had to have choreographed the fights, and he could only do so much with people that didn't know martial arts and make it look believable.
It's just like, you just wail on me while I'm doing like amazing kicks and everything like that.
So I guess
but yeah, what happened in episode 1?
So in episode 1, the world is effectively ended. It's the end times.
And then the plague came.
And then the plague came. So, yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, the world ended, and then there was a plague that got the rest of us.
We got
and
the plague.
So the last doctors, for some reason, the last ones are in Atlanta working on a cure. But
gotta be a CDC thing.
But
right?
Yeah, to make the cure, they need a hold of the data from this cyborg that it was being shuttled down from New York. But before she could make it, the guy that was escorting her got killed by this dude, Fender Tremolo, and his gang of pirates. But she got saved by Gibson Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
That's Van Damme. And then she got taken hostage again. Or she got taken hostage.
They got separated and she got grabbed.
Yeah, she got grabbed. And he got buried under some rubble, showed up too late at a village that Fender and his dudes had murdered everyone and stolen a boat. And then he took out this girl that he thought was going to kill her, he being Gibson. But it's just this beautiful young woman who, when she comes to after he knocked her out, says they're taking her to Atlanta because she has the cure.
Yeah, we got to rescue this girl.
And we also saw a flashback of a past life where he, on a job, was taking care of this woman and her 2 younger siblings. And some shit went down, and we're not really sure what happened, but that this Fender guy was somehow related. And that is what happened in episode 1.
Absolutely, man. You nailed it. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So we pick up, and Gibson he's standing on the dock of that massacred village, just staring at a burning corpse.
Always just staring.
He was deeply staring at it, deep in thought, hair moosed to within an inch of its life. Natty comes walking up, says the pirates did all this just to get a boat. Gibson asks, how did you survive? She says she hid when they had arrived. Natty says she saw them sailing off down the intercoastal waterway toward Charleston. Then he arrived, and she thought he must be another pirate.
Let me just press pause for just a moment.
Please do.
Where are they?
They're in the New Jersey / Bronx area.
So they're in let's just say New Jersey. Let's be
say
generous
they're in
and say
Hoboken.
Yeah, let's say
that's the only clue we get soon.
So they're in New Jersey.
Okay.
But she saw them. She says, I saw them sail toward Charleston.
Among 100 other settlements along the coast between here and there, right? How does she know where they're going?
She doesn't know where fucking Charleston is.
I'll try
There's no sign. She said, I saw them.
Right. It was not this way to Charleston sign on the dock. The only thing I would try to make an excuse maybe is that I agree. There's no such thing as a waterway to Charleston.
Right.
But maybe if she knows they're going to Atlanta, maybe the quickest way to Atlanta is to park your boat at Charleston.
She's familiar with all the shipping routes.
Absolutely.
Maybe she is.
They're seafaring
Maybe
people.
she's a mariner herself.
A mariner. Absolutely. A mariness.
A mariness. Marinara.
I don't know.
Marinara.
When Gibson says, I'm leaving, and walks off.
Okay.
He said, I'm gone.
I'm gone.
I swear, though, the movement of his mouth was something else entirely.
Yep.
So Natty follows him, asks if he's going after the pirates to save Pearl. That's the cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
She says that her family died of plague just like everybody else, and she'd like to help with the cure.
That's nice. Volunteering.
Her delivery is so flat.
Yeah.
It defies description.
Again,
it was like you're reading off a cue card or something, but I think it's also you got nothing to work with doing a scene with Van Damme.
Right.
So Gibson says, I don't want your help. Don't care about the cure. It's not my business. What? Okay. Isn't the cure for the plague like everyone's business on the planet?
Think.
But Natty asks, what do you care about if you don't care about the cure?
Fender.
So she calls him a jerk for not caring about curing the plague, which is accurate.
Yeah.
Gibson suggests that she should go save the day and rescue Pearl herself. She says maybe she will, and he can't stop her from taking the road to Charleston. And he says, good luck, off screen somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've ever done a movie on this podcast that features acting as bad as what we just saw in this scene.
It's really, really bad.
Like, some others were there's some bad acting in Cobra and maybe Red Sonja and some terrible shit in Highlander. but nothing that compares to this, where I don't even get the impression that he's trying.
No.
Like, at least now that you give him they get some points for giving an effort. He's trying. He can't act, but he's trying.
I would love to know what was happening on set. Like that.
I wonder if Van Damme was miserable.
He says that he did not enjoy doing this movie.
But you would think a young dude like trying to become famous, he would be giving 1,000% Oscar performance.
I wonder
in every role.
If like in the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, you read about like Lucas basically was like reining everyone in. He didn't want them to like act. He wanted them to just like, I just want you to say the words, and this is the inflection.
Yeah.
And that's like, I wonder if Pyun was like, if
You're doing too much.
There's some context that we're not in on with.
I have an idea.
Character. I have an idea. Brainwave.
If Pyun thought all along that he was going to have someone else dub the voice, then maybe he didn't give a fuck how Van Damme's performance was. Because he's like, I'll have some other actor's going to act the shit out of this later when we're dubbing the voice.
You're just going to hear an animated voice, but you're not going to see the mouth move?
Coming out of a stone-faced Van Damme, dead behind the eyes Van Damme.
It's just...
I don't know. That's all I'm offering it as a possibility that maybe he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just mouth the words, dude.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Van Damme was not enjoying himself, because he's like, oh, I'm not going to get...
Maybe
people aren't going to hear my voice.
So.
This fucking sucks. This sucks for me.
That's a good theory. I like that.
But so, yeah. Now, next to a rusty sign for Hoboken.
So we are in New Jersey.
That's that we're at least in the vicinity of Hoboken. Gibson is studying his maps while Natty chugs water and eats berries. So they're all the way up in New Jersey. And I don't know in what world they think they're going to keep pace with a boat that's chugging along day and night.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't care what shortcut you know, unless you can bend the rules of space and time, you're not going to make it before that boat. Also,
I don't know. I feel like scenes were chopped out because he's immediately letting her roll with him.
Yeah.
After we just saw him saying, like, you're on your own.
Well,
Cut to, they're together.
Well, she said the road is open and you can't stop me. So maybe he's just like.
But she's also drinking all his water.
Well, I thought it was like her water.
I thought it was her water. Slow down.
Yeah, he's like looking out for her. He's like, he's the slinger with a heart of gold.
Okay. Then he just really stares at her for a minute.
Yeah, the her eating stuff really brings something back to him.
It was like he glitched up or something. Like he was frozen. It
looked more like he looked at her for a second, but then he was like transfixed by the container of berries. He was like, berries. That brings back a memory.
So flashback to Mary. That was his love interest in another time. She's gardening at that farmhouse.
I suppose that's what she's doing. She's dug 3 little tiny furrows
in the middle of the lawn. Yeah. I'm like, this is not how you plant.
They're maybe 2.5 feet long a piece.
Yeah.
And it looks like she has a little hand hoe, but it looks like she dug them by hand, like scraped it out with her 2 hands, because it's like, she's not a farmer, this Mary.
Now, Natty asks Gibson if he thinks they'll find Fender, and Gibson says, we'll get him. So now it's we. What's all this we talk?
It's essentially the point of this movie is getting Fender.
I feel like a chunk of the script got lopped off here. But she asks why he stuck around while she was unconscious after she had tried to kill him. And he says he felt sorry for her and then just walks away. There he goes again. Always like just fucking wandering off. But I felt like that low-key sounded like an insult. I felt sorry for you. What he means is like, I felt bad. I didn't want to see you die because I brained you or whatever.
You shouldn't get killed because I knocked you out.
But so later on, Gibson and Natty, they arrive at a settlement after dark. People are bustling around. Blacksmiths are making shit.
Man, there are blacksmiths everywhere. It's like everyone in that but I guess that's like the trade to take up if you're going to try to make it in the apocalypse.
Everyone's rocking knives. This is a knife culture.
Sweaty, shirtless, ripped blacksmiths everywhere.
Dude, that one shredded up dude with his shirt open, abs oiled up. And then the other dude was like
I can make you
roided
a
up.
wrench.
That one dude was so fucking huge. The big black dude, he was roided up,
Yes.
man. It was fucking wild, dude. But Gibson finds a bartender to give him an update on Fender, who he says is working his way down the intercoastal waterway to Charleston. Like, no, yeah, we already got that information, like in the last scene.
Go on.
So, although it would make a lot more sense in the context of the story that this guy has information and Natty didn't know anything except they headed south,
Right.
or something like that. But that's on the writer, like no one else. Also, though,
Kitty Chalmers made that mistake.
The bartender says they torched a settlement in Hatteras the day before to collect some wood.
If that is Hatteras,
they're already halfway there.
They're already in North Carolina.
They're Outer Banks.
Yeah.
They're halfway there already. I feel like
these fucks should be in like what, Pennsylvania
at best,
at absolute best,
at best,
and,
dude.
And days and days later.
And what doesn't make also sense is like, yeah, where are they supposed to be right now? I was looking; it would take you like 3 to 4 weeks to walk from Hoboken to Charleston. I feel like it's been a couple days. Also, how did the word of them being in Hatteras get back to wherever the fuck they are this quick?
I don't know. I also love that the dude says that they stopped and burned a settlement while they were collecting wood. Like, well, why would they burn something to collect fuel for burning? Like, I don't know.
Is it a steamship? Is that what we're getting? Like, do they need the wood to fuel the boat?
I think so. There's probably not a lot of gas.
I would agree with that. Okay, so I'll roll with that then.
But still, it's like, you need fuel. Why are you going to burn the settlement down? I guess, I don't know.
And my other question is, this seems to be like a civilization without electricity. So that bright red light that's shining on them, I was just like, what the fuck is that?
Wood fire generator.
Wood fire generator. It's steam. Steam powered.
The distances in this movie, I'm just like, boggle.
They should have gone full steampunk on this shit, dude.
How are these fucks in North Carolina? And if they're in North Carolina, how is, like, the bad guys, how is Gibson going to intercept them when they're in Pennsylvania? Or
That's what I don't feel like the boat's not zooming along, but I still feel like you'd make that journey in maybe 5 or 6 days at most.
And maybe also the conceit is that they've got to stop
and get wood maybe every couple hours.
Yeah.
Every 2 minutes.
Because there's like 12 or so bad guys on the boat.
Later on, there's at least like 25 dudes standing around, but there are not that many people on the boat. So it's another just glitch in the matrix of this movie, I think. But I'm thinking, like, if they had gone full steampunk on the movie, that would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
Just like everyone's wearing top hats and fucking monocles and like steam-powered machine guns.
Here's my gauntlet.
As I'm flying around on a rocket, steam-powered rocket
robot gauntlet arm.
So Gibson says, I'm going to catch up with them where the ocean meets the road to Atlanta.
Where?
Huh? That's not a thing.
That spot. There's one spot.
We have to accept that in this world there's only one road in the world, and the road from Hoboken to Atlanta apparently runs out of its way down through Charleston.
As a result of climate change.
Yes, I guess
the eastern seaboard has been reshaped by Mother Earth.
So then the guy says that he heard that Gibson had left that slinger life behind and found peace in the country.
Yeah, so we get that there's like a familiarity between these two because they have like pet names for each other. A guy calls him Gibbs and he calls him Mace.
Old Mace.
Yeah.
Now, is Gibson like a famous person in the world that words trickled out what Gibson's up to?
I think that he was probably
they're buddies, and that's why?
A well-known slinger.
Okay.
He was probably in and out of places, you know.
I take it Fender is pretty notorious in this world or whatever.
Too.
So cue a flashback to the farmhouse.
What?
Mary says this place could be their home and asks Gibson to stay with them.
She's just emotionally staring, on the verge of tears. She says,
"It's a no-brainer, dude.
This is going to be our home.
This beautiful woman wants you to stay with her in this idyllic farmhouse and presumably just have all the sex.
Yes, like start a colony.
Absolutely. You're going to stick around. Also, we have to acknowledge, again, how bad the fucking long wig was on JCVD. It's like they put it on him backwards or something. It's weird. It's long in the front.
It looks like it's like a colonial wig or something like that.
It was strange. But then you cut to Gibson now with shorter hair. He's hiding his guns away. I don't know. Did like a large chunk of time pass?
That's what I said. The short hair is, I guess, supposed to denote the passage of time.
It almost seems like she asked him to stay. He went and immediately cut the hair.
Well, they were
put
banging,
the guns
and
away.
she was like, I need you to
this
cut
hair is getting in the way. I don't like your hair being longer than mine.
It tickles my back, and I don't like it.
Let's trade haircuts.
She was very cute.
In her pixie look? Yeah, she had it going on, dude. Now, back in the present, Gibson tells the bartender that he made the mistake of starting to believe in the dream. The dream, I guess, being like this peaceful, simple life, whatever. Yeah. Bartender says everybody needs a little hope. Then he tells Gibson to be sure that he's returning to Slinger life for the right reasons. He asks Gibson, what comes after you kill Fender?
Right.
Gibson doesn't seem to have an answer. Van Damme again doing the fucking bare minimum in the scene.
Can you just stand here? Thank you.
So later on, Gibson and Natty are watching people being treated for the plague. Looks like fucking agony. There's looks like burns or something, like blisters on the skin or something.
First they show, I wasn't even sure. It's like a guy digging in an opened up body or in a bowl of nasty stew, and the guy's wearing it's what looks like an old lady's hat with a string of pearls coming off of it or something.
Was that like doctor wear?
Yeah, I think it was like he's supposed to be a physician of some kind.
Okay.
And then he like scoops whatever it is that he's fucking without and then touches it on the forehead of the patient who's got all those like nasty sores or whatever. I was just like, I don't know how you treat the plague, but it looks like you just smear soup
Goo
on it.
Stew. Some chunky stew
going.
So Natty says to Gibson, so the cure's not important, huh? They were painfully out of focus in that shot. It was awful. So elsewhere, some asshole, maybe a pirate, takes a little kid's ball away from him. They used every bit of that shot up until the guy grabbing the ball from the kid, like earlier in the scene when they were establishing the settlement or whatever. That's neither here nor there. Gibson takes the ball back, beats the dude up, returns the ball back to the kid. Gibson really picks and chooses his battles. He's like, cure the plague? Meh.
Fuck it.
But like, oh, some kid got his ball stolen.
He'll stick up for a child.
Right.
We should mention that, like, the dude is wearing, like, fishnet stockings on his face.
That seemed to be like a pirate look, a lot of the dudes. Apparently it was so they could use the same actors to play a lot of different parts.
There you go.
The same stuntmen or whatever. But now Gibson pensively watches the boy reuniting with his family unit. Despite the fact that Van Damme was giving off like Stranger Danger vibes, I thought.
Good lighting.
It also seemed like, I guess we're supposed to get the impression that he's having a change of heart.
Yeah.
He's seeing maybe the value of like curing this plague.
This is one of the first moments where I was like, this shot looks great. The good lighting and camera work on Jean-Claude, that was nice. A lot of
stuff in that settlement. I mean, they were going, I think, for Blade Runner vibes, like this bustling.
The fire, like red against the dark, like the blue lit up backgrounds and stuff. Yeah, man.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Now, back on the pirate's boat, it's cruising through the water. Fender's studying maps and shit. There seems to be like a knife sharpening party going on below deck.
Dude, all right. So first of all, Fender's studying nautical charts.
It's like when Matrix was looking at those charts. Yes, charts, maps.
Next to an open flame that they have lit next to what looks to be the engine.
Yeah, of course.
And he's also wearing sunglasses. Fucking dark in there.
I wondered if I feel like there had to have been some subplot where he was like on something, some sort of a drug that maybe turned his eyes blue, and he needs to wear these glasses all the time because he's got like sensitive eyes or something.
Well,
it seems like he's huffing and wheezing at times where it's like, I feel like he's supposed to be on something.
That would make sense.
They don't give us any. I'm just trying to make excuses.
We could remake this movie and fill in some of these holes, but you were talking about the knife thing, and that's what I'm saying. I was like, there's something very erotic about this scene with all these bare-chested men and women in just a bra, like making male masturbatory hand motions with their phallic object knives. It's like everyone's like, oh yeah, oh god.
I counted no fewer than 5 people in there sharpening knives together.
And the one dude's like, let me slice my hand open to see if it's sharp.
It's a knife sharpening orgy below decks. So back on the road, Gibson and Natty come to a fork with signs for Wasteland, Charleston, and Temptation.
Wasteland, Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. They were making grand time, apparently. But despite the fact that the sign for Wasteland and the sign for Charleston are pointing in opposite directions, Gibson wants them to go through the Wasteland. I don't know.
It's where the dimensional portal is.
It must
to
be.
Atlanta.
That's the only thing that makes sense. So Natty says going through the wasteland is crazy. Gibson implies that it's a shortcut. It's the only way to keep up with the boat on foot. I'll say it again. There's no way to keep up with a boat on foot, period.
Nope.
You could run Usain Bolt speed the whole way, and I don't think you could keep up with that boat.
No.
But so they just needed some scenes of them traveling by other means. Like maybe they're on a river.
Or by ostrich.
Or they're riding on horses or something like that. Or they're like on some tracks with that old timey like the hand cart where they're pumping away on that shit, or a bicycle built for two or something.
It's believable,
you know what I mean?
that they could get, they cleared off some train track.
Steam train.
Yeah.
Bam. We'll catch the train this far. Maybe we get ahead of them. It's just silly.
Yeah.
But I feel like they didn't have the money for any of that.
No.
Maybe there were ideas, we'll have this money, we'll shoot those scenes at the end, and then there was no money, and what they had was what they had.
They could have just as easily said they're in Washington, D.C., and it would have made just that little bit more
to start out?
sense. Or Baltimore. They're in Baltimore. I don't know why. Balmer.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't know why it needed to be New York.
I don't either.
But, so this road is lined with skulls on sticks. I feel like...
like while they're jawing, they get that stare down from the middle-aged man that's yet again another guy in a Shakespearean outfit.
Well, I felt like... So if they're raiders or something that are in the wasteland that are like making their living by attacking travelers, you probably don't want to line the road with sticks with skulls on them.
Welcome.
You want to make it a little more inviting than that, right?
And that guy's one of them. He's just like, hey,
yeah.
Cool.
But so sometime later, Gibson and Natty, they're walking down this wooded road, seemingly exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, it's like fucking Sam Raimi is directing or something, because they had that shaky, like Evil
POV.
Dead.
Yeah.
It was that Evil Dead, like, shaky cam thing going. And Gibson notices there's a figure, like, running through the woods. He halts Natty and then just runs off into the woods. And she's like, typical. Which I thought was the first delivery of her in the whole movie that I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
She did good on that scene. That one word, I should say.
Poor thing.
It's weird, though, that he offered no explanation. He just ran off.
Yeah, he, like, stopped, seemed to sense something, and then just took off running. Bye.
It's like that, shh, you smell something? But, so now we see there's another masked man. He's watching from some elevated position. We see more of this figure running around. Then Natty runs to a large, like, derelict building. It's this multi-level brick factory-looking thing.
Yeah.
With, like, the skeleton of a building. The walls have all, like, crumbled away. It was a very cool location.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
That's North Carolina somewhere.
And this was one of the scenes in the movie that, like, as a child I watched.
Oh, you remember this part well?
This whole part, that it stuck out, like, vividly.
Okay. It is one of the first, like, bits of action that I feel like works in the movie.
And it just looks cool, like, especially during the action sequences where they're up and you got the green foliage around and, like, the camera just kind of pivoting around.
Well, the production value was great, but I'm sure it really was just an old factory or an old something that they found and were like, can we film here, you know?
Yeah.
But so, yeah. Gibson catches and kills a pair of masked men in the woods. He stabs one dude and, like, snaps another guy's neck.
Mm-hmm.
As Natty wanders through this crumbling building, a pair of figures rappel down.
Kevin. We assumed then that those guys have been waiting for whoever to come along, and they're like, "Oh shit, rappel! We got to rappel."
Definitely, they've been up in the very top of the building.
Are they on shifts? And then they shift out after a 12-hour shift, and the next guy hooks up to the harness.
Rappel duty. Those dudes from Under Siege,
God.
like, came here. But no, what's nuts is why did she go straight to the very top of this building?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going up to the tippy top
to see if she could see, to see what she could see.
To see what I can see. So other figures step out, and suddenly Natty is surrounded by masked men.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes, though, would have been in plain fucking sight. Like, there was nowhere for them to hide. They just stepped into frame. And I'm like, wait,
fuck.
She didn't see them?
She walked right by that guy.
So they're menacing her with chains and crossbows and bow and arrow. The leader has a fucking Morning Star.
That's a custom job.
Where did he get that shit?
He made it.
Hey, where did you get that?
Hey, where did you get that?
So a goon in a gas mask then grabs Natty and is clearly using her as a human shield, despite the fact that Gibson's not even there yet.
So I think I can talk my way through this one. So the goon in the gas mask grabs Natty from behind. Then there's a very quick cut to Gibson running up with his 4-barrel rifle.
But he's still
inside the building.
He hasn't been seen yet, I don't think.
But I think that's what we're supposed to assume, is that they kind of glimpse him. And in a cutscene, they must have seen him, because the next shot, the gas mask guy's using Natty. So what I could forgive this.
I think
this
they just used some B-roll from later.
This is one of the less egregious moments to me. I was like, they must have, like, the fact that at least they showed him running into the building with the gun.
That bugged the shit out of me.
Yeah, I know.
But so Gibson pops out. He shoots one guy with his cool rifle. It's never clear to me exactly how that thing works or what it is that it's shooting.
Paintballs.
I saw where it was like a repurposed paintball gun is what they used to make the thing. But I don't know that can't be what he's shooting. It's like poison darts or is it? I don't think it's bullets. I don't think it's gunpowder though. I think it's something else.
So he at some point in the movie later on he reloads a CO2 cartridge.
Yeah.
Because it's a paintball gun. But then I was like, that's not a bad conceit for an actual weapon that would have fired something like a musket ball but powered by CO2.
Absolutely.
So it was like, again, something that he rigged together.
It looked hella cool. It's one of the cooler things in the movie that I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
An iconic weapon.
I haven't seen that before.
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree.
So this one goon with the chain whips the gun out of Gibson's hand. Then he starts doing some vintage Van Damme moves. Like, if I'm talking about the very exaggerated knees to the midsection.
The flying knee.
A first little spinning kick. Gibson kicks this little blade out of the toe of his boot and slashes one dude's throat with his flying spin kick. It was badass.
It is kind of cool.
He dispatches several bad guys wielding knives and kicks one dude off whatever floor it is they're on, like into the trees, which I thought was every time I've watched the movie now, which has been like 3 or 4 times, I've been like, fuck yeah, like that was cool. He kicked him off the building. I like that. But we don't watch Van Damme movies, though, to not see him do martial arts.
Right.
So finally, he's doing his Van Damme shit.
Right.
Saving the movie. Now we cut back to the gas mask goon who's holding Natty as a human shield, like now makes sense to me.
Right.
Gibson pulls a blade from his boot and stalks towards them. He's like very deliberately the way he pulled it out of his boot.
I've remembered this forever, and I think that we used to like mimic this where he like lifts his leg to pull the knife out of the boot. Like that shit looks cool as fuck. I'm like, everyone should pull their knife out of their boot.
It's Van Damme showing off his dexterity or whatever. Maybe. So another goon now produces a weapon that might have been a pool cue.
Yeah.
It was like 2 pieces that he starts screwing together.
What a moron. Like, why wasn't that already put together,
you gotta
dumb
assemble
shit?
that shit as soon as it starts popping off.
Why would you ever disassemble it?
So the goon swings this weapon at Gibson with no effect whatsoever because Gibson takes him out. He catches the swing like right out of the air, breaks the weapon, and then punches the dude out.
Right.
Now, Natty grabs the gas mask goon's dick and escapes his clutches, as old cock grab.
Right.
The gas mask goon then pulls out yet another knife, and he's ready to stab Natty. Then Gibson throws a knife into that dude's spine. There's like an endless supply of knives in this movie, as we'll see.
Yeah.
Natty hits him with a barrage of kicks to the dick and balls, kicks him back against the cement column, presumably like driving that knife deeper into his back.
Severed his spine.
Then she runs in him and punches him, and he falls off the edge and plummets down like several stories to his death, which is obviously a dummy, but it was fucking cool kill, man.
It was very cool.
So now she runs to hide in this building, but it's like, wait, bitch, you ran straight to the top floor? Like, that was a weird move. That's when I grasped that she's on the top floor of this fucker, man. Like, it's crazy to me. But
she never anticipated that the rappel guys would be up there.
No. She turns, she finds Gibson, he's picking through one of the corpse's pockets. She says, you're pretty good, with a certain amount of horniness.
She is very thirsty.
Yeah. He doesn't respond at all. That's his move. That's how he gets them.
Per usual.
She was ready to plow, dude. She was ready to make it with the champ.
She was totally ready to make it with the champ.
She liked the way he killed those guys. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, she does. Like, she likes a man that can take care of himself in this hellhole.
Yeah. So she asked him, "Do you ever get used to the killing?" And he says, "I didn't make this world." And she says, "Yeah, you only live in it." Okay.
I guess.
So sometime later, Gibson and Natty, they're on a sandy beach. Gibson says Finder's boat's going to pass by here. What the fuck?
What?
Where are they?
This shortcut, you're already at the spot where the road meets it, like the ocean meets the road.
That's what I'm saying. They got ahead of the boat already.
How could he possibly know that?
That's what I'm saying. Has there only one place that they possibly would park the boat?
This is where I was like, I wonder if some natural disaster is supposed to have happened that completely altered the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
And maybe somehow there is, in this reality, an intercoastal waterway that now runs from New York to South Carolina. And there maybe it's like
a section sheared off.
Yeah, it's like it sheared off, or because of the seas rising and falling. Who knows what happened in, that now there's like a natural seawall, and there is just a channel that runs down the coast. It still
doesn't explain the wormhole that allowed them to get there already.
We're here waiting never mind for about the fact that they jumped through time and space to be here.
So Natty welcomes this news, though, that they're already here, I guess, on the outskirts of Charleston. She starts to immediately get naked.
Yeah.
So Gibson modestly looks away.
For 2 seconds.
I sure didn't. She had it going on, dude. Yeah, as soon as she starts running into the ocean, he was taking a long gander. Not bad, dude. She had it going on. I was a fan of Natty.
Yeah, she's a beautiful lady.
So later on, after sunset, buff-ass Gibson.
He's been bathing.
He comes walking up to their campfire shirtless with this blanket wrapped around his lower half. Mm-hmm. And it was like, likewise, I was like, damn, fucking Van Damme, man. If I could step out into any action dude's physique, for me, it's Van Damme's.
Mine would be Fender Tremolo.
You like that physique better?
Actually, it'd probably be.
It's a different.
Van Damme's is amazing just because he's not like scrawny.
He looks natural.
Yeah.
He doesn't look roided, like cut to this ridiculous degree. He's got like some meat on him. I heard that
a lot of bros want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Right.
That's the body that, and it's just like it's not realistic. It's you have to.
He was super lean.
Yeah.
Right. Which is tough to do. I don't know that you can keep that up. You can get in that shape maybe for the week that you're filming shirtless.
As now a guy who's about to turn 41, I would take Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I would take anything. I don't know. No, but what was I going to say? Dude, you weren't kidding, though. Like, Fender fucking shredded. He had more of the Fight Club physique going, like, that every ab was on display. Like,
I would be really interested to know, like, because if he's a pro surfer, I would imagine that he just eats, surfs, and works out, and that's like his life.
And probably is like doing a lot of fucking crystal or speed or something, man.
Yeah.
Like something to keep his fucking metabolism through the roof.
And his energy up.
But so Rob McElhenney, the dude from Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Who got like, do you watch the show? Where there was a scene where he got really fat on purpose, and then the next season he was really lean.
Right.
And he was like shredded. I mean, his body's incredible in the show. And he was doing interviews where he had said, like, he said, guys of a certain generation, like, the ideal is to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Right.
Was what he said. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I know exactly what he means, because you see him and you're like, fucking, you're not supposed to be able to look like that and have that face. Like, that's not fair, dude. Yeah. But yes.
It's true.
He's like, every fucking sinew and muscle is just like there. But anyway, for me, Van Damme is like perfection of how
my grandmother had a lady boner for him.
What was his name? Bobby? Jimmy Sue?
Jimmy Sue.
Hell yeah. Me and Jimmy Sue would have gotten along. Did she like to drink? Was she a bourbon drinker? White Russians. Fucking A. The Big Lebowski special.
She would make herself a quart container of White Russians. Like,
how long would it last?
A couple of days.
Okay.
She'd drain that thing.
Okay. Hell yeah.
She'd get shit canned and do crossword puzzles.
I thought you were going to say do karate. That would have been rad. Shit canned and watch Van Damme flicks do karate.
Maybe she did. She did kata while she was watching Van Damme.
Hell yes.
Yeah. Runs in the
family. So hold on. So we got Gibson. He's half naked walking up to the fire. Natty is draped in this blanket. She's soaking it all in.
Yeah, she is.
Then she says, "You're just a walking wound, aren't you? Fucking mood killer."
I love scars.
Then she's like, "I know, I love scars." Really? And it's like, damn, okay, no, she's full on horny still. Then having been rejected again, though, he just she changes course. She asks, what did Fender ever do to you?
Yeah, to break the sexual tension, she asks about this murderer.
Right, that's going to kill the mood. So we see a super quick flashback of Mary and the kids, but it's hard to tell what's happening.
It's like, I pause and it's like Mary Gibson and one of the kids is tied up with barbed wire.
Yeah.
And they are being dropped.
Yeah, that's what we see. So then Natty suggests that we can help each other, and Gibson says no.
I'm like, what are we talking about?
You guys should definitely help each other.
I'm like, what are you suggesting, my good woman?
So Natty asks, if you don't think that Pearl, who's carrying the cure for the plague, is worth saving. Gibson says that his reason why he doesn't want to help is that he doesn't want to see Natty die.
Oh.
Then Natty says, well, I don't want to see you die either. It's like, oh, you've got a lot in common.
She does want to see what's under the blanket.
Thing. She wants to see what he's working with.
Right.
So there's something in Van Damme's delivery that just makes him seem like a simpleton, though.
Yeah.
Like, more so than just that he doesn't like talking. It just seems like he's very simple.
There's no facial expression. His face never moves until sort of the end of the movie.
Yeah. So it's fucking weird, man. Weird choices if it was his choice.
There were no choices here. Let's not call them choices. There was no choice.
So now Natty predicts, that Gibson's going to be gone you're going to be gone when I wake up in the morning. Then she seductively shrugs that blanket off her shoulders to reveal epic breasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge. I was not ready for that. It's time to put the VD in JCVD.
Oh no! Is this one of those moments where it's like the video cassette tapes are coming back to the Blockbuster? They're all shredded at that one.
Had to be.
One
it's
spot.
Like fucking hell.
But I mean, it's like less than 2 seconds.
No, it was very, very, very brief. Gibson slides over and
tease that he is
real slow.
Tease that he is
and covers her back up.
You fucker.
It's like the anti-Seagal.
Yeah, Seagal would have been like, all right,
trying to make moves.
How about this move?
I got a move for you.
Gross.
I guess the idea is that he's still in love with Mary.
He's traumatized. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and read an interview or something with Pyun, because I guarantee you that's an element of this movie that is just like is missing. And that's what we're supposed to get from the flashbacks.
Everything he ever loves maybe gets destroyed type of thing. But maybe if they let Van Damme talk a little more, they could have explained some of these ideas. At any rate, there's this very long musical note lingering in the air. Fade to a flashback of Gibson hooking up with Mary. I feel like it was that same fucking lighting that was in Top Gun when Maverick was banging Charlie.
Yeah, the cinematographer was like, we're just going to do Top Gun.
Do the Top
okay?
Gun look. Does that work for you?
The fucking instrument playing the bass line in the score sounds reminiscent of the bass line in Take My Breath Away.
Really?
It sounds.
I got to check it out again now.
It's very similar. It's very similar. Just the timbre of it and sort of the note sequence that it plays.
So later on...
It bears mentioning that the music in this scene is fucking terrible.
No, throughout, dude. There's not one good piece of music.
Why does it take Gibson a full 8 seconds to lean in and kiss Mary's neck? It's like he can't, and it's not slow motion. He just 1, 2, 3. It takes 8 full seconds for his mouth to reach her neck.
That's the seduction. That's the Belgian style.
You'll wait for it and you'll like it.
Now later on, Gibson and Mary are spooned up asleep.
Post-coitus.
And we see that Fender and the Anthony Kiedis clone and another goon are watching them through this open window.
Creepy.
That was some creeping ass shit, man. And I laugh every time when Kiedis pulls back the curtain to get a better look. He's like,
if you'd be like, move, I can't see.
You're blocking the view, man. So Gibson, he snaps awake in this cold sweat. Natty's there. She tells him everything's going to be okay.
How do you know?
No shit. That's our stopping point for this week, dear listeners.
Oh my God. What happened?
It's a lot of stuff, but also nothing at all.
This movie has time travel?
It is
with
like
no time
that.
machine?
They have made that journey, that 4-week journey in I feel like 3 or 4 days.
They could have even said after the bottom half of the continent sheared off and floated north or something. Like
you could have showed them just like on a raft on a river or riding horses or something to imply, okay, they're doing a few things that are faster than walking on foot.
Right.
But that cost money. And that's something they didn't have, I think, when they were making this movie.
They could have just shown a map that showed how like a chunk, just a whole chunk of the country got sheared off, and then some floated north. I don't know.
You know, it's cheaper than a bicycle built for two, though. Walking. So you guys are walking now. But yeah, that's it for this week.
I don't know what's happening.
We'll be back next week to try to figure it out,
and we'll tell you all about it. We can't wait.
We'll be back.